You had a negative experience with Rolex.
Mics are set.
Look who it is.
Bam, what's up? Welcome back to Normalize Talking About Watches with Nikki C. King Ding over there, who's not going to be dinging today.
We got our mics back.
We got mics
I'm
back.
back to the MC role.
Yeah, MC Nikki C.
For now.
Yeah. No, we...
Waves look nice.
Waves look nice. Real quick, before we even really get rolling, we were having an issue, right?
Big time issue.
A big issue where I'll do a quick summary and then Nick will tell you how he fixed it.
The nerd version.
Yeah, the nerd version. So basically, as we were trying to record, the playback was super spotty. It was like, and then there was also a bunch of static, and we could not figure out what was wrong.
Right.
We interchanged chords 7 different times, and then we decided to film on our phones.
Right.
And Nikki C fixed it. And how did you fix it? I don't know what was going on.
Shout out YouTube.
And
Lindsay. She may not watch, but she and YouTube. Lindsay is a podcast producer here locally, and then YouTube, obviously, is YouTube. I finally found the issue. So for anyone out there, our computer that we're using,
which is a Mac at Apple.
Yep, at Apple.
Apple. Boom. Apple.
They basically on YouTube were explaining that if you don't have enough storage on your computer, in the actual, range of storage you have, if you don't have ample, you can't just have enough. You don't have we had 10 gigabytes free, which is not a lot in the podcast world because each episode comes out to 40 gigs or something like that. It will delay. So it was basically what was happening was it was trying to keep up with us recording, and we were recording too long, I guess, for it, or too fast or too high quality. These microphones are really legit. So the file size is really big. So long story short, the computer was not being able to keep up with the soundboard, and it was doing the glitching.
Well, the glitching too was it was crazy. You were saying right before we started, what was a 48-minute episode?
Oh yeah. So it was taking, we recorded, I think not the first or not the last one, but the second to last one, the first one we did with our phones.
Which one was unusable the first time around with the mics.
Right. That episode never came out because it just died.
It was fully unusable.
So that episode was 48 minutes, but the software interpreted it as 30 minutes. So it took a 48-minute episode and it basically compressed it down to 30 minutes. But the way it made it 30 minutes was it cut out every other word we said. It was such a weird way of this software working. But hey, I think we fixed it.
Yeah, you
no more
it.
phones. We're
Thank
back
you.
to the mics.
Thank you, King Ding.
And now we can go back to regular.
I don't know if this will work
professional podcasting
or not, but we forgot to put our sign up there. So grab it from down there.
Yeah, it was on the ground. Now it's up on the wall. Thanks for the editing project, Joe. All right.
If not, it's up there now.
Let's get into it. We got some exciting stuff. Joe's fresh off vacation. Joe's also freshly just turned 27.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kid's 27. Thanks
Happy
for
birthday.
B-Day wishes. Got a nice, cool present here. Had a great weekend in Boston with the family. Went and saw Dead and Company, which was great.
I have so many questions.
Yeah. What's your first question there?
Well, what watch was John Mayer wearing?
So he was wearing an NAP, a Royal Oak. I couldn't quite tell. It wasn't anything crazy.
He wore the night before you saw him in
At
Chicago.
No, he was in New York.
Or in New York. Wait, Citi Field is in New York? What is that, Mets? What is that?
Yes.
Why did I thought that was the Cubs for some reason.
Wrigley is the Cubs.
Wrigley's the Cubs. Wow, arguably the most famous stadium of all time. Nice. Citi Field, he was wearing something bonkers.
Was he?
I'm going to pull it up.
Pull it up. Yeah, I was looking and I was trying to get a picture. We had so we were off to the right of the stage. We were in right field at Fenway. The show was at Fenway, and I had a screen, but I didn't have all of the screens.
I feel like you had pretty good seats.
We had great seats. It was just I was off center, and I was a little far away. My eyesight's not quite as good as it used to be. So I didn't get to see exactly which watch he was wearing, but he was wearing an AP, and it was definitely a Royal Oak. I'm not sure which model.
Oh, I don't know where I saw it. Who is our Who do we follow that's like always posting?
There's a few. Like, so there's like Music Never Stopped. There's, I mean, just truly Dead and Company. Dead and Co. posts a lot of stuff.
No, you know who posted it? Your girl.
Bren?
Timepiece.
Timepiece.
He was wearing.
Oh, yeah.
That's sick.
That's very sick.
And she sniped it off his wrist. I'm going to screenshot it and put it up for you guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Shout out,
So
Brain.
the turquoise dial Royal Oak.
Gold Royal Oak.
A gold turquoise dial Royal Oak.
She's saying it's newish, so I don't know much about this. She said the other night feeling the newish gold Royal Oak with a turquoise dial. So,
interesting.
So that's what he wore then, which made me think he was going to bring out something wild. Like, I don't know how this guy travels. I can't imagine, like, he's on a tour bus, right? Does he just have a section in the tour bus with, like, a briefcase full of, like, ball and watches?
I think so. And I'm also curious, like, where does John Mayer live? Because he could live in New York.
I think he does live in New York. He definitely lives in New York because Ben Clymer and him always talk about the fact that he lives, like, right around the corner.
Yeah. So if he lives in New York, he could have stopped and re-upped his watches, like, mid-tour, which is kind of a sick idea.
You just got to appreciate how much of a watch guy he is, that, like, that's the kind of attention. Like, he's genuinely like, what watch am I going to wear on this show?
You know what else you have to appreciate is that man can sing.
Yep.
And he can play the guitar. And Bob Weir was an awesome performer. He could play the guitar.
Shout out, Bob.
And he was singing. His voice started to go a little bit at the end of the night, but I think they were tired.
So he's the lead singer?
Oh, John is Jerry Well,
he's supposed to be?
John is what Jerry Garcia
Right,
was,
he replaced him.
Yeah, and yeah, they've got a cool dynamic. And it was really cool. I took my parents. They actually liked it. My brother liked it.
It's just a jam session, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, but it was a little bit slower of a show. So it was kind of, it was like more old school Dead. Like it was like very psychedelic.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like
my parents would probably not love that.
Weird graphics all over the screen. The second set had about an hour slow jam. This is the only people that would know what this means. It would be like Deadhead people, but they played Dark Star, drums, space, and Dark Star, which there's no words in like any of those songs. And they played all four of those in a row, and that takes about an hour.
Pop, yep.
And that was about an hour of the second set. So about an hour of the second set of just like a super slow, weird jam, which was fine. You know, you got to be like super open-minded when you go to those kind of shows, but it was a little. It wasn't as upbeat as I've heard the rest of the tour has been.
I wonder if they were tired.
Had to have been. The next night was like the set list for the next night was nuts.
Yeah, they're just taking.
It was still great. Like I mean, they still had they still played some incredible songs, and they finished with Casey Jones and another Saturday Night, which were awesome. It was probably the coolest Casey Jones I've ever heard, honestly. So I think that made up for a little lull of the middle of the second set. King Yawn.
Joe offered to bring a coffee, and I said no.
That was a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big yawn.
I just had a coffee, though.
You guys saw that.
So overall, out of 10.
Overall, out of 10. I mean, I have to say 10. It's the only time I've ever been.
That's fair.
It was at Fenway Park.
So that means you could never go to a better concert.
No experience at all. No. I mean, I was with my family. It was like, you know, my birthday. I mean, everything was like
stars
kind of
aligned.
perfect. Yeah, it was awesome. The only thing I didn't do, which I think I would have been very uncomfortable doing, is I didn't get to go to Shakedown Street, which is like the market.
Know what that is.
It's like the market outside of Grateful Dead shows.
Where everyone just sells.
There's like some stuff going on, but there's also cool stuff, right? Like handmade goods,
merch,
people,
but also
selling merch and people selling
acid.
Yeah, I mean, there's
T-shirts, acid, stickers,
wood stuff, bags.
Yep.
But yeah, there's definitely a fair amount of like superlatives being sold as well.
I'm not surprised
that you shouldn't partake in, or if that's your thing, whatever.
Some of it's legal now.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
All right. Well, we don't know what watch. John Mayer was repping AP. We know
it was an AP. It was a Royal Oak. It did have a black band on it. It was silver or white gold, I guess.
So offshore
or platinum. I'm not sure.
So it was an offshore.
No, I don't.
Concept.
It was not. No, it wasn't anything crazy.
Well, black band would have to be an offshore concept.
No, it was just like a black rubber or a black croc.
That's what I'm saying, though. They don't make Royal Oaks on. The regular Royal Oak doesn't come on any of that.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
I wore one in the AP boutique.
It's an offshore.
No, it's not.
Let me see. I'll challenge you all day.
Okay.
They don't like the music AP. Is it considered an offshore?
Right. But
so that's
this is not an offshore. This is just an AP, just a normal Royal Oak.
What's that on?
On
Croc?
Blue Croc.
I've never seen that.
I've seen a few of them.
Is it thin?
Yeah.
Open case back?
They all are, for the most part.
My God.
Yeah. So what we're gonna
a bold move, Cotton. I'm gonna try to find a picture. Is he gonna wear that in the sweaty situation, bro?
It has to have been rubber, right? It has to have been some kind of a black rubber.
Yeah, maybe.
I
wouldn't wear leather in that scenario.
I don't see him wearing leather. It was a hot day too. Which this is a perfect little segue. So
thanks, Bryn. You didn't snipe him in this concert.
Yeah, I know, right? If Bryn went, I would have been bummed. So I went window shopping, I guess you would say, in Boston when I was there. And I went around to, and I posted a bunch on our Instagram story, but I went around to several different watch boutiques and watch stores and had varying experiences. And so I thought today we would talk a little bit about that. Because this is actually so fitting. My first stop was the AP boutique in Boston.
I'm very jealous.
And
it's such a bummer we don't have, a little quick backstory. Charleston has one watch store, let's call it.
Right.
In our opinion. And if you take our opinion out of it, there's still really only one, in my opinion, that would make everyone. I would call Dimitri the only watch store. Like,
well, they're
Reed's,
the only. So Dimitri's the only only Rolex dealer.
Yeah.
And then there's several other companies in town that carry a few different lines, like Breitling, IWC, I think Tag. But Dimitri,
they also have like jewelry and like it's just
Dimitri kind of carries everything.
If you want to watch, that's where you're going. Whereas Boston had 10.
Well, Boston
80s.
is interesting. So Boston has an area, and they call it's called Back Bay, and it's like a neighborhood. Okay. And in Back Bay, they have a big shopping district that's super similar to King Street. It's called Newberry Street, but like right off of there, they are. I mean, it's quite literally just incoming. Like right now, they're all pretty much new.
What do you mean?
Watch stores. They're making a street of watch stores right there. Like they are side by side. Oh shit! Talking mushrooms.
If there's audio problems, it's because Joe's monkey toes were just playing with the cord for some reason. You nut.
I gotta start wearing socks. Man.
We'll find out if there was sound there. Who knows, dude? You probably just jacked it. How long were you doing that?
I don't know.
Okay.
He just slowly looks at it. He's like, watch your toe.
Well, I just saw the cord moving, and I'm like, why is the cord moving? Because there's only us in here.
My bad, y'all. That's my bad. That's not
Go
me.
ahead. So they're new. You're saying they're new watch stores
because
they're building
there's
like
a
little
street.
District?
They are building there's a street that is just opening up watch store after watch store after watch store after watch store after watch store.
Where
so there's a couple of stores that are not.
Did you die? Are you going to heaven?
I mean, it was awesome. So my first store I went into was Tiffany, and this is the guy that gave me directions, which was nice. Went into Tiffany, and I was just walking around. It was like Thursday afternoon.
This is a Tiffany store.
Yeah, I went into a Tiffany store, and I was like, I wonder if there's any Tiffany, like anything Tiffany, right?
Yeah.
And I went in, and he was like, yeah, we don't really have any watches here, but he's like, look, over there is an AP dealer or AP boutique. He's like, right next to it is an Hermes, and then over here is a bunch of different watch stores, the Rolex, etc.
And are these AP on the door, or are they Dimitri and then inside they have an AP corner?
No, so this the AP. I mean,
this is a
Hermes,
boutique.
Every single one of these was a boutique, actually. Now that I think of it,
yeah. So even like the Rolex was a Rolex boutique.
Yeah, and I didn't go in.
Wow.
But I'll get to that.
All right, I can't wait
because I don't like when stores do this. But regardless, so AP boutique. First one I go into. First off, look at this business card. This thing is awesome. There's like gold.
This is from AP?
Yeah, from AP. That's my guy, Will.
I'm glad you grabbed this.
So I was very nervous to go into AP. I don't know. I didn't really feel that nervous, but in a way like I did. My heart was kind of racing. I was like, I'm about to walk into an AP dealer. This is just honest thoughts. Like I realized that I don't want to be thinking like this, and I don't think anyone should. But this was honestly what was going through my head. I was like, I'm about to walk into an AP dealer, and I'm wearing my Seiko. And I'm like, fudge, like these guys aren't going to take me seriously.
They're either going to love it or not know what it is.
Yeah, right. I want to like talk watches and like hang out with these guys, and they might not give me the time of the day. So I walk in, and it was like the complete opposite of my fears.
Were there other people in there?
No.
Okay.
It was a slow
I want to paint a full.
It was a full picture, dude. It was a slow day in the AP boutique. I had just gone in Hermes. I went in Hermes. I walked around. I took a peek at a few watches, took some pictures. Didn't. The new Hermes watch that just came out on rubber that's like square.
I saw that in the photo.
Yeah. In my opinion, in person, I don't know if it was really that cool, but
you'll never
I do think
catch me in one of those.
I do think they're interesting pieces.
I like the skeleton one.
I saw a
That
skeleton
one's cool.
Hermes. That was neat as well. But
Different.
so I go right down the street to AP, and I walked in, and Will, I don't know if I should say his name, but the service guy.
Shout out
the guy that's in the store. He greets me and he's like, "Hey, like, how can I help you today?" And I was like, "I'm just popping around." He's like, "Hey, man, like, feel free to
pause for a second.
Browse."
What are you wearing clothes wise? And the reason I'm asking is because there is a huge stigma in this world, and I think a lot of people agree, and you kind of experienced it with just getting in your own head before you walked in. What are you wearing as clothes? Do you look nice, or would you? Okay. Keep going.
I'm wearing my typical outfit.
Okay. Socks and stocks.
Birkenstocks, no socks because it was
Tie-dye.
hot. Birkenstocks. I was wearing pants
Okay.
and the Lululemon super lightweight like jogger sweatpants that I have.
Okay. So that's completely different.
And then
You just went from
t-shirt.
sweatpants to Lululemon joggers.
But they're the sweatpant.
But they're nice,
Right.
though.
Yeah.
I would call those presentable and nice.
Windbreaker vibes.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Is that what you're wearing right now?
No, but these
Okay.
are just Lulu pants. And then just a t-shirt
All right.
and a hat. Grateful Dead hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
It was a
I want to know because I think
the
these
purple
people.
hat I think fit with the purple watch. I was
Okay, that's
matching
good.
my hat and my watch.
I bring it up to say because I think a lot of people get stereotyped immediately. So I bring it up to let the people know this is what you were wearing, and then this is how your experience went. Because I guarantee that there's stereotypical situations in these all the time.
I looked somewhat like a hippie.
Okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So Will greets me and he's like, feel free to browse around and
Gotta love that already.
and he's like, let me know if you want to try anything on. And I was like,
So, okay, respect first and foremost, because there are millions of stories of people walking into places and not getting the time of day, not getting that attention, not being offered. They can literally, if Joe was the only person in there, like he said, they could have told him straight up, "Hey, we're not allowed to let anything out of the case. Like, feel free to look, but you can't touch." They can absolutely say that, and I've heard stories of this happening where they tell people like, "We don't have anything. Sorry. Keep it moving," So far, so good. Hats off to AP. This one specifically.
this gets way better.
All right. I can't wait.
So I turned him down initially. I was like, I'm not, you don't need to do all that. I'm just happy to just come in and talk for a second. And, we were kind of like talking, just walking around and I'm like looking at a few. He's like, "Hey,
How big is the place too?
It's twice the size of our studio.
Okay. So relatively small. It's only
It is
APs.
truly a
Yep.
boutique.
Cool.
Small. Maybe 3 times the size of the studio. And there was like a back room I didn't see in the back room. But there
Kevin Hart was back there.
other employees in there.
John Mayer was probably back there.
Johnny
getting
Mayer
his
was back
watch,
there.
his
Right, he
leather
probably was.
band watch sized for the concert.
So, and then he's like, "Hey, do you want anything to drink?" And I was like, "Well, I'll take you up on that." And he's like, what do you want? You want water, espresso? I was like, espresso.
Got to.
Awesome.
Feel like it's a
that's
no-brainer.
great. So Will and I sit down and we're just chatting. We're just talking.
No watches.
There's his desk right there, pretty much in the middle of the boutique.
Yep.
And I'm sitting in the chair, feet are propped up. He's chilling. We're talking stories.
How old was this guy?
Maybe mid-30s.
Cool.
And so he's like, "Hey, what are you wearing?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, this thing is sick. It's the Seiko.
Yeah, I love that he asked too,
Yeah, Rolling Blazers collab. It's got, this like a cool purple dial on the back of it. It's got an open case back with a cool skeleton thing on it. He's like, "Can I see it?" And then he goes, "Do you mind if I take a picture?" I'm like, "No, I don't mind if you take a picture.
There's
of my
$50,000 plus watches all around the room, and this guy's pumped about a 500.
He's fired up.
That's
dude.
amazing.
He's fired up.
Shout out to Jack Carlson.
So he takes a picture and we're chatting and he's like, dude, come on, you got to try some of these on. I was like, all right, I'd love to. I was
it's like the classic.
It was like the nervous no. And then
yes, I was just gonna say that.
He brought it out of me.
Right.
And so
you there's a chance if he didn't bring it out of you, at least for me, I can honestly say I probably would have walked out of there without trying them on and been like, fuck, I wanted to try on every single one of those. Oh, you're King.
I'm King Ding today.
This guy, dude.
I am King Ding. I'm sorry.
No, but like another reason to like respect this guy, because I've been in that scenario. I did it with JLC when I was in Palm Beach, where I walked in and they were helping someone, and I was so like uncomfortable because it didn't feel good that I didn't try anything on. All I wanted to do was try on reversos.
At this point, I was fully comfortable. Like we had been chatting.
That's great.
At this point, we had been talking for about 30 to 45 minutes.
Wow, and you hadn't even touched an AP.
No, just hanging out.
That's cool.
I was in that store for 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
just to say. I was literally.
I remember
in
you
that
called me
store
before,
for 2.5 hours.
and then you called me after,
and I was like, I
it's
just left
Tuesday
AP.
now.
Yeah, it was crazy.
All right.
So he brings out the first batch, which is a little foreshadowing.
I want every
He
detail,
brings
by
out
the way.
the first batch and the
What do you mean
first batch.
brings out?
So like the first case,
Okay.
which had Royal Oak.
So the
white
cases
dial,
are full.
a Royal Oak white dial.
Yep.
A Royal Oak chrono, and my personal favorite, the blue.
I saw you post that.
The blue Royal Oak, and I was like, and I
The
told
blue,
him
the blue
offshore
with the
Yeah.
orange.
Yeah.
Like
Blue
the one
orange
that
offshore.
yeah. Okay.
And I told him, I was like, dude, this offshore is like 100%. Like this is probably my favorite
Right.
AP for like everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I love the offshores. Then he takes his watch off and shows me his offshore, which is a thinner offshore. I put on the blue offshore. I always thought that the blue AP offshore, I hope they understand what I'm saying. This watch.
Yeah.
I always thought that this had a cloth band, but it's rubber and it looks like cloth.
Blue rubber? Is it blue?
Yeah, it's blue, but it looks like cloth.
I can't picture the band.
picture looks like cloth. Looks like a blue nylon.
Okay. Like a NATO kind of look.
Right. Yeah, but it looks like that nylon, like the.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah, look up the blue AP.
I'll find it real quick.
Or I can show you the picture I took of it if you want to. But you can find it very easy. And so I'm put that on. Then I put on the normal Royal Oak, and then I put on
it's cloth.
the chrono, and we're talking about those, and we're looking at these movements, and I'm like, these are incredible. And he's telling me a few of his stories, and so then I break out. I was like, you got to see some of my collection, and I showed him a couple of our watches, and then I showed him a couple of personal pieces of mine, and we're just talking about various stories, from pieces of the collection. He's like, all right, I got to show you my collection, and so he shows me his collection.
What do you have?
He's got an awesome Panerai, a really cool Panerai.
No, so it's not just 3 Royal Oaks.
No, he has 2 APs. He has the offshore and a Royal Oak.
That's really all you need.
Yeah, and no Rolex.
No Rolex.
No Rolex at all.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. No Patek either.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Is there
is
there a rule against
I'm
that?
being extremely assuming.
What's your assumption?
That they're not allowed to advertise that.
Well, he's got Panerai. He had
not a competitor.
He had a Seiko.
Not a competitor.
Grand Seiko.
Still not a competitor.
Lange Zuna.
I would consider
Lang & Sons.
I would consider that maybe a competitor.
Yeah.
But I would say it would be very
he had a really good collection.
It'd be very weird for him not to have a Rolex if he's a watch guy and have those.
Well, see, yeah.
So it would be very interesting to find out if he's not allowed to I would consider Rolex, Patek, AP. That's the competition. Take out watchmaking in the top 3 people. Just the 3 brands of luxury watches that if you ask most people on the street, those are probably the 3 they know. I would consider that a possibility that he's not allowed to say.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I just think it's weird. If you're a true watch person, a Rolex.
Not
to say that everyone needs one, but it is pretty much everybody. If you're a watch person, pretty much every person has a Rolex.
It's interesting
with that budget.
But it's interesting because a lot of people are watch people for different reasons, right? And
I agree.
He's a watch person because of watchmaking, and he loves the complexity and the watchmaking.
But he has a Seiko.
Grand Seiko. I misspoke.
What about a Panerai?
I don't know about their watchmaking personally. I don't know. I'm honestly curious. Don't know.
Yeah, me either. I don't know anything.
But I do know.
I assume it's not anything groundbreaking, but I assume it's quality.
Well, I do know relative to watchmaking, Rolex is nothing groundbreaking.
No.
So I guess maybe that could be the reason.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. But anyway, so brings out his, he shows me his collection, and we're just chatting about various pieces. He starts to show me some of the craziest APs he's ever seen.
This is what I was waiting for. Like stuff that's come through the store, basically.
And then he brings out another collection of APs that are in the store.
These are all exhibition models.
Yeah, all exhibition models, but they all work. They all have movements in them.
Yep.
A beautiful green dial chrono. He brings out a beautiful, which what I showed you.
I'm gonna try to jog your memory too and bring up the photos.
Rose gold with navy blue. And then
the navy blue croc strap.
Yeah, the navy blue croc on rose gold was just
sick look.
A beautiful watch. And then
didn't even know that watch existed.
A black and green offshore, which this one was much thinner than the blue one was, which is interesting.
You also got
and then the code.
The code 1159. And I got to wear
the code. And this is there's something I got to say about the code. The watchmaking on the code is absolutely insane, but relative to the crystal is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So the code, when you're looking at it, yes, when you're looking at it straight on, right? When you're looking at any watch straight on, you can see the dial, right? And then as you turn it, you can like gradually not see the dial.
It's like privacy glass.
Right. In general. Like, not privacy glass, but like.
Oh, you're saying with this watch.
With watches.
Right.
Sometimes there's like a bubble and it becomes immediately hard to see.
Right.
With like, this Rolex that I'm wearing right now, it's like, from a diagonal, you can kind of see or so.
It just starts to get distorted.
So I don't know how they did this, but the way they created the crystal on that code, it mirrors the watch face up at you as it turns. So
you can always see it.
As you turn your wrist, the watch face turns like toward you and up at you.
Just with the way
you can if I'm holding the code out right here, I could probably still read it and read the time.
So the crystal must be shaped in a way that's like
there's like
bending light.
Looks like there's like 7 or 8 different lines of the crystal.
Maybe it's just bending light,
and so it like bends the light and it distorts the face to where it looks like it's coming up at you still in almost a 3-dimensional way. It's one of the craziest things. Like if you ever get a chance to hold a code, you need to do that. I wish I could take a video, but it doesn't show up on video.
You should look up pictures in here.
You should look up like on YouTube, and maybe we can like post a link or something. I don't know, but if we find one, but you should look up on.
I wish we could buy one.
A crystal, like the way the dial reacts with the crystal on the code watches by AP. I don't know any better way to describe it, but it's absolutely insane. Like it somehow makes it readable and it like bends it up at you.
That's amazing.
It's really, really cool.
Would you say that that's a watch you would buy?
Yes, after holding it and after seeing it, I definitely would.
Because I think I've been quoted on this podcast saying that watch.
Yeah, I mean, up until that point, I would. I would agree.
It's just not I don't know. I'm such a sucker for like the flagship model of AP that like I don't know. It's like I'm a creature of habit so much that like when they came out with something that doesn't look like it.
Let's do a quick. Yeah, so I mean, I think before now, no, I wouldn't have wanted to have a code, but because it's so cool, like the crystal, the crystal makes it that cool.
Right.
But also, allegedly, their current most complex watch is the code. They have a code model that is their most complex watch.
Really?
Which I asked that, yeah.
Over the
tourbillons
and all that shit?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's got all of that in it.
Really?
Yeah.
How much are they? Do you know?
No. I didn't ask that.
Shit.
We really didn't talk much pricing things, but
I don't think that's an appropriate conversation to have in there. If you care about pricing, you shouldn't be in there, you know?
Right.
Or
yeah.
you were in there for a watch conversation
there was
to
just
enjoy.
There was so many wild nuggets that I wish I could, like, that I wanted to. I mean, I can still tell. He said to say no to people of like the royal families, like various royal families will come in
and
to Boston, and they're like, "Hey, I need a watch for the weekend."
Right.
And he has to be like, "No."
There's a Swatch store down the street.
Right? Like,
go find
that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
You know, that's absolutely insane. Like, the members of royal families, he's like, have you ever, he said something, it made me laugh. He's like, you ever had to tell someone that has an army no?
No.
No, I have not.
Hell no. Not even close.
But, that's the truth. And
that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I also found out that the black and white ceramic are not currently in production anymore. It's just the blue.
What about the new black ceramic chrono that came out with like a month ago?
Then that has to be in production.
Maybe they swapped it.
But what the blue ceramic is, you know how it came out. That model is not black or white ceramic anymore.
So they just replaced it.
In blue ceramic.
They basically swapped it out.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, so that would make sense.
Many watches
maybe that's
that are
why
on the site that are discontinued.
Maybe that's why they came out with that black ceramic chrono.
The watch that I love, you know, the rose gold with the nailed brown dial and the open work tourbillon.
Yep.
Was a Japan only edition. He said he thinks 25 of them were made, but he's not really sure.
God, that's insane.
He said that, you know, AP makes I'm gonna butcher this, roughly 50,000 watches a year.
I think we've looked this up before.
We have looked this up.
No one ever knows, though, I guess.
Roughly 50,000 watches a year.
Yep.
And he told me that they might get like a couple hundred watches at that boutique.
Wow.
Per year.
Wow.
So, you know, there's no list. You know, there's people that have been developing and buying AP for 20 years, and they're looking for various collection pieces. And then there's also people like me and you that walk into a dealer and we have a really, really good experience. And who knows, maybe one day we'll get that call.
That would be,
you know, and
that's the start though. What you did, you know, you started the relationship.
Yeah. I mean, something that he brought up too, which was really cool, which is a merch item that I think I would love for us to have, or I know that I would love for us to have. He goes, I basically like brought up the idea of like, what do you think about people that are collecting watches and like that never wear them? Like they just collect watches. Like it says specifically to AP, like the family behind AP and the people in the company of AP don't want their watches to collect up dust in a safe. Yeah, they want you to wear their watches. 100%. They want to see your watches out being worn, and they want the watches to be appreciated by more than just the people wearing it, like everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
and that really made me happy to hear, like, you know, from a brand.
Well, I would hope no one would want that.
There's a lot of people out there though that.
Well, I know collectors, but I'm saying I would hope no brand is like, yeah, we want you to store this away in a safe and keep it in mint condition. Right. You know, like I would love to see, like, I don't know, this is a funny story. It's not a luxury brand, but like Toyota, or I think it was either Nissan or Toyota. I'll find it. Some guy drove one of their cars to 1,000,000 miles and they gifted him a new one. They just gave him a brand new truck. They were like, dude, awesome. That's how we wanted everyone to use these. So it's, I mean, yeah, I would hope that I never hear any brand going, yeah, we want you to buy it, but we also want you to like protect it and keep it low miles.
Right.
I would hope. I mean, that's why you see like Mark Wahlberg and what the hell is his name? Kevin Hart just rocking like very expensive, unique APs all the time. And like Kevin Hart just posted, he's like blowing up because he just posted a photo with that new purple.
Oh, yeah.
I think the new purple dial AP, which like came out, what, a week ago?
But those guys get the first selection to those because they are such loyal customers to the brand.
They're like ambassadors now.
Right?
Kevin Hart's an ambassador.
Yeah. Well, you know, being an ambassador is one thing, I think, is a little different. But
he's not allowed to wear anything else, though.
Yeah. So,
which, tough look, but AP's not a bad person to be attached to.
I also asked why, you know, I asked Will why, because he's got such an interesting background. He sold like so many different brands and micro brands. He actually sold Resence for a long time. He sold Olange Zuna.
Very cool watch. Essence is dope.
He sold various different brands. And so I asked him, I was like, "What's your favorite?" AP was his favorite.
Better
but,
be.
I mean, I
at the moment,
I kind of believed him though. Like, he
at the
sold
moment,
so
it
many
could be
brands. Like,
it changes. We've already talked about it.
It truly is his favorite.
You could change month by month your favorite brand, your favorite watch, your grail. That could change literally weekly.
And so I asked him why he thinks the Royal Oak is the greatest sports watch of all time.
He said that?
No.
Well,
most people would say that.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is that the general consensus? Like, why is this the most iconic sports watch of all time? And basically, it makes sense. Like, Rolex was designed as a tool watch.
Right.
The APs when they came out, the Royal Oak when it first came out. First off, when it first came out, it was hated, which is crazy to think about. I didn't know that.
That's such a unique thing.
But yeah, it was hated, and they were designed with the bracelet first and foremost, like the fully integrated bracelet.
How good did the bracelet feel?
Oh my gosh, dude! And oddly enough, every watch in there fit me, which just made everything perfect.
That makes everything. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But when a watch fits versus when it doesn't fit, it is I would say, completely different experience.
It definitely is.
You don't even know what a watch is like if it doesn't fit.
Yeah. No,
it fits and you're like, 100%. Oh, I want this now.
But yeah, so they were the first to fully develop this integrated bracelet and work from the bracelet to the watch rather than watch to the bracelet.
Yeah, focus on the dial and the bezel.
Yeah, but then to me, obviously, there's it's crazy how many awesome variations there are of a Royal Oak, and none of them feel tired or overused or overseen.
Yeah. Their dials I love their.
It's out of control how creative you can get with a Royal Oak. And for me, that's what makes it the best. It's just the diversity in it.
They have way more options than most people.
Oh yeah.
For a company that doesn't make that many watches.
You've got the ceramic, you've got the golds, you've got the offshores, you've got the concepts. I mean, there's just so many different ways they can go.
And the dials, they have a million different dials.
Oh my gosh, with the precious jewels, the frosted.
That set with the precious baguettes or whatever, or the one they came out, the color set, that's bonkers. Mm-hmm. Rolex, not to talk bad about a competing brand, but Rolex, I don't know, they came out with their cheapest watch. They made 5 or 6 different colored dials, and that was groundbreaking. And then AP is we see that, but check out this.
I think that's something that AP has been doing for a while too.
Yeah,
here's this precious gem set collection potentially.
Those fully colored emerald watches are absolutely insane.
Yeah, they're bonkers. All right. That's pretty much my AP experience. It was overwhelmingly positive. I mean, it was absolutely insane. No stuffy vibes at all. Everything was positive. I stayed in there for 2.5 hours. I posted a bunch of pictures, but maybe I'll throw a few up there as I've been talking. But it was really, really cool. So
that's good.
And I would.
I want to have a bad one, honestly,
and see what happens.
I want to have a bad experience.
Well, I had a couple. So I went to the Rolex boutique.
And this is a boutique.
It's a boutique.
Not an AD.
Trying to get. Well, I mean, they're synonymous.
No.
Well, boutiques are authorized dealers. They're just
but authorized dealers are not boutiques.
Not all ADs are boutiques. No.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So this was a Rolex store. Rolex sign.
Right.
No other brands.
Correct.
So that's a Rolex boutique.
Which is also an AD. They're synonymous.
But the flip-flop is more so what I'm concerned about. All ADs are not boutiques. Like Dimitri, you go in, they're not pushing Rolex on you.
Right.
They have many options.
Yeah.
I'm just framing the situation because I've been in one of these and it's a very different experience than an AD. You what?
I didn't go inside.
You didn't go inside?
No, they were taking names for a wait list, and it was
at the door.
It was a 30-minute wait list. If I wanted to be added to the wait list, I could, but the next service associate wouldn't be ready for the next 30 minutes. I was like, all right, that's fine.
Were there people there?
Yeah,
waiting.
There was people in there. Yeah.
So there's people inside. Were there people waiting outside?
I was like, I don't need to wait. That's fine. Ironically, I think it's actually how Watches of Switzerland worked. But I had a good experiences at Watches of Switzerland because I didn't have to wait. They're like, let me grab. His name was Jamal. Let me grab Jamal he's free right now, and he'll walk you around.
So they wanted someone with you.
But they want someone to walk you around.
That's
I guess I can respect it, but like I'm not gonna sit there and wait for 30 minutes like outside of a boutique in the sun.
So here's what I bring. Here's back to my point of trying to draw a line, because the difference between a Rolex boutique and an authorized dealer is that those are Rolex employees. So that could be a Rolex, and this is where I think these negative feedback, all this negative backlash. Yeah, are you dying? You're dying? Yeah, sure. So now it's just me on this podcast. Joe's dying. You let me know when you're done. I'm done. So
my bad.
My question is, and this is what Nico talked about on one of his videos, but basically a Rolex boutique, they are Rolex employees, employed by Rolex. The business model is driven by Rolex.
Same thing as the AP boutique.
AP boutique, same thing. Dimitri / let's call them ADs are not. That is their store. Yes, they have a protocol they follow with Rolex, but like that is their store. They make the rules. There's no Rolex cannot call them and say you need to create a waiting list, because they sell.
Right. They run their own business.
Right. So technically, what you experienced was potentially a flaw in Rolex, not a flaw in an AD, which is why I'm trying to draw a line, because when you Nico, his rant that he went on in that one episode where he went super viral, because he was like, I'm sick and tired of these ADs being, this, and this, and having lists, and I'm denying business and doing it. It's like, this is not, you're not even referring to that. You're referring to a completely different.
But he could be referring. I think that rant was kind of angled at both.
Well, that's my point. We got to draw the line, because an AD that's not the experience you have in an AD. I've been to many of those, right? You have as well. There's no wait list. There's no like stuffy in those scenarios, because they sell watches that anyone can afford. Like Dimitri has a $500 watch. They can't sit there and stereotype someone or draw a line, because a kid could walk in and afford something they sell. Whereas this boutique they can stereotype you all day, or they can be like, we don't want your business because we have plenty. And this is what Rolex top down is telling us to do. Like, I'm curious. I don't know if that's the case, but Dimitri would never get away with that.
So I can't really say what the vibe was.
Yeah, that's
because I didn't go inside.
Yeah,
I didn't want to wait for 30 minutes.
Right.
And so, but I can say it was just, I don't know. I didn't love it. So I didn't love the feeling I got from this security guard talking to me.
I'll explain really quick in a nutshell. I've been to one as well in San Francisco, a Rolex boutique. So Rolex store, everything's green. There's no other type of watches. Every employee's got a Rolex name badge on. Right. So Rolex store. The second I walked in, they said, "Excuse me, sir, none of the watches are for sale." Almost trying to encourage me to turn around.
Yeah.
And I said, I know, they're all exhibition models. Can I at least check them out? And they're like, well, you can look at them through the case. Granted, this was during COVID, so I'll give them a little bit of break. But
in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. So not the best place to experience COVID. But it was during COVID, but they basically gave me what you just experienced, which was made me wonder, and this is, once again, back to the AD thing, this is a Rolex protocol, that could be from Geneva saying, don't let people in unless they have a person. Here's a 30-minute wait list. Here's how we want you to run the operation. Because if they weren't following direct orders from Rolex corporate, they would probably lose their boutique.
Why does Watches of Switzerland do it?
They're an AD. They're not a boutique. That's my point.
No, why do they do it?
Why do they do what?
You have to walk around with somebody.
I would say that maybe because they have such high value goods in there, because they sell Patek, don't they?
They do.
So I would say that that's probably more there, like a security thing. We want people, and maybe take this out of it, just from a customer experience. Maybe they just want you to have a person.
Well, see, but I think that's maybe the Rolex angle too. They just want you to have a person. It's not.
Why wouldn't they do that at ADs then?
They kind of do. It's not forced, right? But how many times can you walk around an AD and not talk to one of the sales associates?
If it's packed.
Yeah, if they're busy, that's fine. But that's not.
But
most of the time, someone's going to try to talk to you and at least kind of give like some insight on the watches and stuff like that.
That's customer service. Take that out of it. That's how they decide to run their business. Rolex is telling you this is a rule. You can't let more people in here. Is what it sounds like. Because if Rolex didn't make that rule and this boutique is making that rule, and I was Rolex corporate, I would have a serious conversation with them and say, you just provided a negative experience under our name to a potential customer. don't let it happen again.
That's
how I would react.
I don't know. I don't necessarily disagree with them having, forcing you to walk around with someone. I think it's unfortunate when their wait time is like 30 minutes.
Well, I don't disagree with the walk around. I disagree with that.
Right.
The wait time.
Yeah, but
like have one person.
But there's other people waiting, and they're like, you're third in line.
And like the shitty part is there's probably no watches for sale.
Yeah, the average person spends 10 minutes in there, and you're gonna wait probably for 30 minutes if you want to wait.
It's
and
so
I was just like, no, I don't. So I mean, I don't know.
Shitty.
Whatever. Next store I went into was A. Lang & Sons, which is pronounced Allonge Izuna.
I've never heard that before.
Yep. Allonge Izuna is A. Lang & Sons. I had a cool experience in there. More standoffish.
I don't know much about those.
They had a couple sales associates. They're German. So they fall under the Glashütte brand, which I believe it's just Glashütte Original is the umbrella. Mm-hmm. And they own all of them. They own Nomos Glashütte. They own Glashütte Original. They own Allonge Izuna.
Shit.
So they're all in that family.
It makes sense. Nomos's watchmaking is...
Oh, it's really good. Yeah.
Just because we were talking about these guys, like, I don't know anything about them. I don't know anyone that collects, and I don't know anyone that has one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool store.
It's good.
Cool displays. I got to try a bunch of them on, which was nice. I didn't, I don't know. I don't feel the $30,000 to $50,000 price tag.
You didn't leave going, wow, one of those was actually something I would buy.
Not at that
Knowing
price
the price.
point.
Yeah.
No. But I do love the way they look. And I loved
I don't even know what they look like.
The inside of them. But I mean, I would need to be sold on it, and no one was selling me on it, right? They were like, this one's $30,000. Like,
was it for sale?
Everything in there was for sale.
See, that's
they're like, do you want to buy it? And I'm like, no.
Sales 101. Don't do that.
It was like more of that experience rather than like a true like kind of horological love, which like again referring back to the AP experience, it was like purely a horological love. And if I had the money and there were watches for sale, and I was gonna spend $50,000 that day and take everything outside of it, like you're gonna be like, obviously you would buy an AP, but like everything out. 100% I would have given my business to the AP boutique.
If every watch on the street was $50,000, they're all nice.
And if it was if there was any other, place I would have given my business, it would have been Tiffany. Like I had such a good experience in Tiffany just because the guy was so nice, and he like took the time to like walk outside with me and point me. He was like, "Those two, you got to hit them." He's like, "But then you go back up that street, and that's where the main street is," and stuff like that. So
it's interesting because the watches kind of sell themselves at AP.
Well, that's Nico's rant, right? Yeah. The dealers, and the boutiques, etc. They don't have any true customer experience anymore because
they just
anyone who can afford it and wants to buy it will buy it and is feeling lucky to be able to buy it.
They almost know. Like it's funny because your experience at this place, I'm not even going to attempt to say the name, but
Allonge Izuna.
Your experience there is the watch maybe doesn't sell itself. Like they're not as popular, so they have to kind of
right. And I could be we could be so wrong
here.
Well,
I would say to us, but also just think about the watch industry. I would say confidently, we're both pretty deep into it.
Yeah,
that brand's not popular.
It is popular. It's
define popular, and I'm going to define it in a way that I think is
limited production with a high gray market value.
That's not popular.
What's your definition of popular?
Percentage of market share and conversations. Market share in conversations and market share in the market. I would put them not even on the list of 10 makers. Which I think that there's probably a watch nerd. I think Roman actually loves these guys. Yeah. And I think there's watch nerds out there.
Well, again, that's where I would think like they are popular just because of the people that know and enjoy watches. They're familiar with the brand. Yeah. They know that there's a lot of value there.
Popular though is I don't know. I think
anyone that's a true watch person would know the brand and would like it. Would be appreciative of it.
So you're a true watch person, right?
Well, we're learning. Well, I'm talking like way further along than you and I are.
Yeah,
Like they understand
still.
like the history of various brands.
Okay,
Like they
that's
know
fair.
like watchmaking. Like
A true,
when I say
like,
true watch, I
veteran,
mean
like a sommelier
like a sommelier
of watches. Which is there a name?
True watch person was probably the wrong term to use. But
I was gonna say, I was
mean?
like, because that's I would call myself that. I would call you that.
But
You don't know anything about them, and I don't know anything.
You
about
know what
them.
I mean, though. Like someone that's
Now I
like
do.
more along the lines of like a
There needs to
sommelier.
be a word, a horological.
There probably is.
Horological.
We
sommelier.
might have to bleep that out.
Is that word?
It might be a curse word.
That might be a curse word. Is there a word for that? Tell us, because if not, I think that's an interesting
a
topic.
horologist, I think, would be is a word, but I'm not sure.
Is there like a certification? Like I know a
there could
sommelier.
be a
Like you can't just be like I'm a sommelier. You have to actually.
Well, there's
be
service
one.
certifications, right?
You have to get that. It's like being a doctor. Almost.
Yeah.
Like you have to be awarded, and there's also a time. There's time, which I think in your mind right now with your explanation, I think is very important because I think if you've been in the game for 10 years, which we haven't, that brand maybe comes up in your brain.
I heard Will talk about the brand, the guy from AP. He was talking about the brand and he was very fond of them. And he was very fond of their watchmaking and their story. And that was really, he was like, you've got to go into this boutique
and just check it out.
And so I went in and I tried on the watches and it was great, right? But like to me, they just don't scream that same amount of value. That they're very light.
Are they like precious metal?
I wore 3 of them. I think it's the watchmaking that truly makes it valuable.
Did you put a photo in here?
Oh yeah, a bunch. I wore several of their watches and they're just really light, and the bands didn't seem to be like ultra. Yeah,
pretty cool.
Sick.
Looks big.
The bands didn't seem to be like ultra durable, I guess, but they're crocodile and gator and stuff like that. So,
I mean,
for me,
they're cool. They're cool with what they have going on. I mean, moon phases, dates.
Yeah.
I mean, they got this is pretty sick.
Beautiful pieces.
And they're like very, I don't know.
That thing's like $50,000, right? So it's like, if I'm going to spend $50K on a watch, like what am I? I need to be sold on it, right? I need to be sold on it. I need to be understanding of the story of the watchmaking, of the brand as a whole.
Right.
What their values are, what their pitches in the market. And I didn't get any of that at the boutique. I'm sure.
Yeah, like what's the creative?
I'm sure there's
boutiques
boutiques out there, and there's people out there that sell these watches, even gray market dealers that sell these watches that could give me a very good reason to spend the amount of money on them.
Roman.
I just didn't get it, right? So to your point, I didn't have a good. Another one didn't have a good boutique experience.
Yeah, I mean that's
the last one.
That's a bummer
because we're running tight on time. I did have a good experience with that, and it's gonna surprise you. And there was a watch for sale.
I don't remember where you went. Cartier.
Oh, really quick while we're talking negative experiences. I had a bad experience in Cartier. No one talked to me. Cold-shouldered. There was several.
Cartier's always like that. I've been into
several
5 or 6 of them.
Free sales associates. No one talked to me. I was walking around. I made eye contact with a few people, smiled, and they're like, hi, and just went right back to not talking to me. I went to Van Cleef.
Nice.
Cold-shouldered. No one talked to me except for the security guard, and he was like, have a good day, man. Like after I walked in, there was a dude, there was a free guy. He didn't try and talk to me. I was like gung-ho. I was like, dude, this is my first Van Cleef store. Maybe I'll buy myself a birthday present.
Yeah.
I love the Van Cleef bracelets.
That's annoying.
It turned me a little bit off on the brand. I'm not going to lie.
I bet that
I could be wrong here, but
yeah, I feel like
when I have a negative experience like that, it's like, I don't want to buy from you now.
So to my point though, the little thing. This is what I was talking about with that Rolex boutique. You had a negative experience with Rolex, not with an AD that's a family run business where you can talk shit.
You're making a good point.
That's what I'm trying to draw the line because this is my beef. Is people are coming at ADs. You dealt with a bad family business when you went to an AD and had a bad scenario. If you went to a Rolex boutique, you dealt with Rolex.
I think it's hard to. I think where you're trying to draw the line between two things that are too similar. It's like family-run business that has the ability to sell Rolex watches versus a boutique
run by Rolex.
Like, it's just confusing in my brain when you're saying an AD and a boutique because I still see them like synonymous. But I understand what you're saying. 100% understand
this is my beef is now you've been turned off by Van Cleef, right? But there are ADs, let's call them, for lack of a better term,
like family-run jewelry
that
businesses
sell Van Cleef
that
that
have
are
the authorized
that
ability
are
to sell
amazing people
Van
that will
Cleef.
sell you the Van Cleef better than Van Cleef themselves, which is what
Yeah.
we're experiencing
And
with
they need to
Dimitri.
tell- you're
Dimitri sells us a Rolex better than Rolex themselves. That is the line I'm drawing, and that's why I think that it pisses me off when people are saying, "I can't even get into a Rolex boutique." I had the experience too, but you went to a.
Yeah.
That pisses me off about Rolex as a brand because that's a top-down. There's no way.
To your point, is it a top-down thing? I
It
don't know.
has to be, bro. If Rolex,
If anyone knows, tell us.
if Rolex as the corporation found out that they were running their business in a way that's turning away genuine watch enthusiasts because you felt standoffish or you felt that the wait time was BS, you felt that it was just a bullshit situation, they would be very upset. They find out that
words in this.
yeah, they find out that Dimitri is running this beautiful business. They're very happy. You know, like that's the thing.
Yet they give the boutiques the better allocations.
Do they?
Isn't it that like there's boutique specials?
I don't know. In the AP world, I think there are. I don't know about Rolex. I'm not sure. I know in AP there's like they only have boutiques now. I think they got rid of like
Interesting.
They got rid of ADs. But that's what people get mad about with AP is they only have ADs.
So
Or they only have boutiques, not ADs.
I don't know I don't know.
It's just annoying because Van Cleef, like I've purchased from them and I went all through online and I had a flawless experience.
Yeah.
But I didn't interact with any stuffy salespeople.
Well,
Maybe I would have been pissed.
I didn't either.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe I would have been pissed. It
So
just sucks that that can burn that brand could be done for life for
it
you.
can definitely burn it. You would love this business card.
I want that business card. What is that?
Give it back, but they had a watch for sale.
No way.
How about it? So I went into the last store I went into was a Richard Mille. And
They had a watch for sale?
Jeremy, who actually runs the branch, he started the branch in 2016 or 2018.
That's really sick.
They had so very interesting. Richard Mille, they don't have watches for display. They do not have any exhibition models at all.
What does it look like in there?
It is extremely tech forward. Lots of screens that are like
No
showing
cases?
different things. There are cases. Anything that you see that is in a case is for sale at Richard Mille. Every time you walk into a Richard Mille boutique, anything that you see, the pens, if there's a
wonder.
watch in a case, it is not for exhibition. Everything is for sale.
What do you
Always.
think? What do you think that's about?
It's just their brand, right? And so what he told me, which is really, really interesting. This is making me weirdly nervous.
Here,
but
I'll just take a break. One sec.
Okay. It's crazy. That basically, obviously, everyone knows how high dollar and high value these watches are, right?
Yep.
But basically, they build watches and they create watches for people rather than make watches and hope to sell them.
Like they don't hold inventory.
Every watch that they make is already sold. And you can say the same, I guess, but not really, right? For others, like someone still has to buy it. But every watch they make is like Nick walks into the boutique and he's like, "Hey, I want this Rafa model."
Yep.
And Jeremy's like, "All right, it might be 2 years, but we will build it for you." And
That's
when
insane.
it comes up, it's like yours.
That
It's
is
not. There's
insane.
no list. There's no one like that they're waiting on for it. Like this Rafa is being built for Nick Cann.
Right. It's just it's 50th in line of the other watches.
Right. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy. To hear.
I had no idea that that's the case.
I didn't either. So that every watch they build and every watch they make is for sale. It's very rare that one sits in a case.
Yeah.
And
What's
so there
the
was
deal?
one in a
Someone
case.
goes.
It was
can't
an
afford it.
oversized women's model. And yeah, something comes up.
I can't afford it, or I don't want it anymore.
Oh my gosh, dude! A really crazy thing I forgot to mention.
Women's model, huh?
Yeah, it was an oversized women's model. It was really. I mean, it was
So
diamonds
Pharrell's
all over
wore
it. Yeah,
He's been seen wearing a women's
it looked
model.
like something Pharrell would wear.
Yeah.
It's like $155,000 or something like that. I was like, "Hey, good luck selling that." He's like, "It'll be gone probably by end of day tomorrow." I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah,
It's just
that's
crazy to think about.
bonkers to think. Because I mean, we've seen like $50,000 watches, and I'm like, wow, the fact that someone's gonna walk in and buy that is pretty crazy. And that's 150.
Yeah, the pins
know.
were like thousands of dollars.
I was gonna say, there's nothing you could justify buying in there.
No.
Damn.
Heck no. Absolutely
Carbon
not.
fiber pen or some shit probably.
No. But the guy at AP, he did say, quote unquote, it should not be a crime to sell your watches.
Wow.
He said they should be appreciated and loved. He's like, and if you're not wearing it, someone else would.
But
that's like my
is he referring to selling them back to him?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
because I don't think it's a crime to sell.
I just thought it was an interesting comment. Like, it should not be a crime to sell your watches.
It shows that he's aware.
Yeah.
That a lot of people feel that way.
So, yeah.
From not our side, from their side.
Yeah.
The sell side. Wow.
An interesting thought.
But he says that, but AP would probably he doesn't run the show.
It is his job. Yeah. So this is an interesting topic. It is his job. He basically said, he's like, if he sells me a Royal Oak and I go down the street and in a week I sell it to you and flip it for whatever amount of money.
Yep.
And he said AP is going to find out about it.
Yep.
And he said, and they're going to have to come to him. And unless I have already talked to him and told him that I went through some crazy hard family time or something, like, I am blacklisted. He's like, he basically said he would have to go to bat for me as the customer.
Right.
And with a reason of why I got rid of this watch. And it has to be like a good reason.
That's wild.
And at that point, to my knowledge, it's like, okay. He's like, yeah, I had a really hard family issue, or had this big surgery, or something random came up, like a major medical expense. I had to sell the watch. And he's like, as long as you have a story like that, it's okay. But they would literally call him, like AP would call him and be like, hey,
that's insane.
You just sold a watch to this guy who just got rid of it 2 months later.
Yeah, we saw the serial number pop up.
What's going on? And unless he has a story, that customer is blacklisted.
I wonder if that I think we could dive into that on a full episode, but
we're already over an hour.
Yeah. My final thought on that would be, I wonder if that is the new way. Like, we weren't in the watch industry, when it was like full cases. To Peter's point, I wonder if they cared that much when the cases were full, because say you walk into an AP or a Rolex boutique, like Peter and Andrew have said, and the case is full. All the cases are full of watches for sale. They were probably doing such a high volume of interactions that were just transactional. Like, I'm coming in, I have $10,000, I want to watch, sign the dotted line, leave. There's no relationship there. Whereas now, you have to kind of build this relationship, because you can't go in there and just shop. So you have to chat with them and like kill time and wait and do things and buy watches. So I wonder if they stopped, or if they started caring about the resale market when it got this exclusive.
I think to my knowledge, they started caring about the resale market when it became profitable.
Which is they're the same thing.
Roughly 2016.
Yeah, but those are they're synonymous, right?
Yeah.
The moment that they left being full in the case is when they started being profitable. So it was a result of gray market profiting.
Yeah.
Which it sucks, but the guys that get so pissed at these guys are the guys that created the problem. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame them. It's a great business. Clearly, all of the guys in the watch resale business are loaded. Clearly, it's an unbelievable business, but they also can't really sit there and go, I hate Rolex ADs for making lists and not having anything in the case. It's like, you kind of started the problem by buying them and reselling them, potentially. I don't know. It's weird. But the guys that are so passionate about it are the people that typically are selling watches.
Well,
and then there's the occasional.
To the point of like a Nico going on a rant like that, it does nothing but help his business.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
If he's saying, hey,
that's why
dealers suck,
It's the reason you drive a Ferrari that you just purchased for $500,000.
It does nothing but help him.
Exactly. And that's why I was a little bummed.
It's the same thing as the vegan health foods bro that's like, meat is awful for you.
Yeah.
But then, he's like, here's my supplement.
Right.
And this guy's driving a Ferrari.
Exactly.
It all kind of is the same.
Yeah, that's my beef with it is these guys are running, let's call it 9-figure businesses in some scenarios. And they're upset with the way that Rolex has limited production and doesn't have watches in the case, but that allows them to sell Rolexes and make more money than Rolex themselves.
Yeah.
Like, their margins are higher than the people that are running the business, which is insane. Richard Mille, for a perfect example. $150,000 watch could sell for $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Mille just doesn't even have the line. You could. Not now, though.
I wish Jeremy was, of everyone that we talked to, I think Jeremy would be the one that we might be able to get on a podcast.
Dude, we should just do those.
Super interesting dude.
We should do those guests where you black them out, like on a Netflix documentary, and the person's like snitching on everybody.
Will is anti social media.
What if his voice was distorted and his face?
He would not come on the podcast.
Wow.
We were very casual talking about it, but he was like, "No, I absolutely not."
Why?
I don't know. He said his brother has like a lot of followers on Instagram and would love to do something like that.
Watch guy?
Yeah. He works at the AP dealer with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They both work at the boutique.
Wow.
All right, we got to get off this thing. We've been taking up a lot of people's time.
Yeah.
And if you guys are still here,
shout out.
Shout.
Hey, we've done a couple short episodes though, so maybe this will be our annual.
This is a really long episode. Yeah. But I've enjoyed it. So I mean that was my experience in Boston.
I'm glad you took one for the team and went and experienced all that stuff, because not a lot of people get to do that, including myself. I've only been to one or two like other places than our usual, you know? One of them being the Rolex boutique I hated, and then one being the JLC place that I just didn't, I felt like I shouldn't be in there.
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite things to do in new cities is like go and meet people at watch boutiques and strike up some conversations. So I loved it.
There you go.
And overwhelmingly had a good experience, but
shout out Boston AP.
Yeah.
Boston Richard Mille and Boston Tiffany.
That's right.
Not shout out Boston Cartier.
That's right.
Cartier
step your game up. Come on.
I want a Cartier as well. I went in to buy one in Italy, and they I was genuinely considering buying a Santos if they had one, and they just same deal. What are you here for? Oh, I'm just browsing. They leave you instantaneously.
No one even talked to me.
Yeah. See that?
Yeah.
Fricked.
So
bleep that.
There's so many bleeps.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of bleeps this episode. Hey, like, subscribe, share the show. Peace. We appreciate y'all.
See ya.
We'll see you next week. Ooh. Where are we gone next week? Fucking claps, dude. We have the claps.
Someone's clapping.
We have an audience.
That's outside of a door. These are the outtakes.
This is
we need comfortabler chairs.
That's in process.
Don't worry.
We'll have them.